I'm Tim Piccirillo. Find out what he's all about coming up. Good evening. As I said, welcome to this Tuesday edition of Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. On tonight's show, it's a return guest, someone we had here in the fall. Tim Piccirillo, magician, comedian, motivationalist. I never know how to what's the caveat?
I've got so many monikers, Mark, I can't even keep track most of the time.
We are going to actually go ahead and take our first commercial break, and we're going to talk to you when we come back. He's a lot of fun, so stick around for this next half hour. Feedback continues after the break.
Hi, I'm Carrie LaPoo.
And I'm Mark Despotakis, and we'd like to tell you a little about TV5.
Clarion's very own TV5, Clarion University Broadcasting, serves as an educational tool and resource for Clarion University and the surrounding community.
We broadcast everything from borough council meetings live to 3 newscasts a week. TV5 is an institution valued by both students and the community as a whole. Students from Clarion University's Communication Department are the most involved in TV5, but students from all majors are welcome to participate. Each and every TV5 production is student-produced, directed, and hosted.
TV5 News provides local news coverage as reported by Clarion University students. Student reporters, anchors, and producers create a newscast 3 nights a week that reflects the news of the day in Clarion. TV5 is also a CNN affiliate, and that affiliation allows us to bring the world closer to you.
My show, Feedback with Mark Despotakis, is TV5's public affairs and interview program. Topics range from discussing local and national politics to flying with a medical helicopter team. Broadcasting 2 nights a week, we strive to inform, educate, and entertain our viewers.
TV5 also broadcasts Clarion Borough Council live each month. The meeting takes place at the Clarion Free Library, and TV5 students air the program from our mobile production trailer.
Sports are also a large part of the TV5 identity. Local sports such as Clarion University Athletics are an integral part of our newscasts, but they are also featured during our weekly sports program, Sports Night.
We also give you the latest news from Pennsylvania state government, broadcasting such shows as Focus on Pennsylvania and Capitol Conversations. You get to see what your state representatives are up to in Harrisburg. TV5 has been Clarion's very own for over 20 years and will continue to be an information source for students and members of the community in the new millennium.
And we hope you'll join us into this new millennium as we watch history unfold right here on Clarion's very own TV5. As if you haven't seen me enough on TV tonight, I'm even in the commercial breaks. I am everywhere tonight. Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis, and as I said, we're speaking with Tim Piccirillo, who is just too much fun for me. And as I said earlier, motivational speaker, magician, comedian.
Right.
Now, what in the world? How did all these 3 come together? I don't get that.
Well, first of all, in my motivational speeches, I start with my story. And as you remember, when I was here, this few months ago, I have Tourette's syndrome. And my whole life I got a lot of negative attention because of that. Because, I mean, on a bad day I look like one of the Backstreet Boys in concert. All right, because I don't mean to make light of it. It's a very serious disorder, but I don't take myself too seriously. I got a lot of negative attention, and in 4th grade I was the only kid that was taking guitar lessons. And I would learn how to play the guitar, and they saw that I could sing. I had perfect pitch. I could sing real well. And I got up in front of, they said, let's put him up in front of the choir at the spring concert, the Christmas concert, and let's let him do his thing. And I got applause. It was sympathetic applause, but nonetheless, applause is applause. And I saw positive attention. This is neat. Well, about 9th grade, a typing teacher came around. I was typing in class, and he pulled a $50 out of my typewriter. With an empty hand, he just reached in, there was a $50. And the magic bug bit right from then on. He'd show me a new trick every day. Shortly thereafter, he invited me to his house. He showed me this elaborate show in his basement. It was about a 40-minute production with his girlfriend at the time. And it had doves, white doves, rabbits, even had a trained skunk, a defumed skunk. Very elaborate show, and that was just it. And from then on, every waking hour outside of school, I worked on magic. So that's, you know, by the time I was 15, I did my first professional show at the local YMCA for the enormous sum of $10. But Mark, if you would have seen my show at that time, you would have thought I was grossly overpaid because I was terrible.
No, probably not.
But actually I was, I'm not lying, but I kept at it. And it's what I talk about in my speeches. About persistence, not giving up, goal setting. You know, I knew when I was 15 what I was going to do with my life. I knew eventually I was going to become a professional magician. It took another 17 years to realize, almost 18 years to realize that dream. I went to college, worked in the human service field for approximately 10 years, quit my job, and said, I'm going out on the road. And I did it. I started working comedy clubs and things. Now, I'd been doing this part-time. I paid a lot of bills here at Clarion University, where I went. I graduated quite a while ago. And I paid a lot of bills in college doing shows, fraternity parties, opening for rock concerts, nursing homes around the area, just any place that they would pay me to do a show. And I just took, when I first quit my job, and I'd been in the human service field, the disability field, I kept going. I just didn't look back. I said working for somebody else and going back in that field was not an option. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I needed to stretch my wings and try this. I started doing the comedy club circuit back in, this would have been actually 1985. Now, I quit my job and it'll be 9 years. It was 9 years this past December. 1992, December 7th. You know what that is?
I know what that is.
Pearl Harbor Day.
I know what that is.
Did a show that night and I bombed. But it's beside the point. I kept going, and I'd been studying personal development since 1987. I bought motivational tapes, motivational books. I have hundreds of these things. I've got dozens of books, hundreds of tapes. And I saw this common thread that's weaved through all this. Things like having positive expectations, expecting the best, goal setting, the importance of setting a goal and reaching for it, the importance of not giving up, the importance, just all these different things, continuous learning. I learned all this, and I said, wow, I'm an entertainer, and I heard a lot of good speakers, but I heard a lot of bad speakers. So I thought, why couldn't I package this and do this speech, things that I believe in? Because ever since I started learning this stuff in '87, I started incorporating it into my life. And when I incorporated it into my life, it worked. I mean, there's no getting around it. These concepts, if anybody applies them, success is not easy, but the formula is very simple. And if you do, and I thought I could do this, put it together in an entertaining way, and package it and just touch lives. You know, reach out and touch somebody.
What if, you know, if people say, you know, positive expectations and goal setting, that's great for these books and that's great for these tapes, but come on, can I really do this?
Right, exactly. Well,
isn't it psychobabble, isn't that what they call it?
Yeah, and I understand there's a lot of people that think about that, they hear that. What the key is to listen to it and really apply it. And once I started listening, now like I said, through all these tapes and through all these books, there's a common thread of these principles. You hear some different ones, but you hear a lot of the common ones. And the more you listen to these things, the more they become embedded in your subconscious. And when they become embedded in your subconscious, you begin to bring your subconscious will bring them out, these concepts out, and it's basically, to get technical, your reticular activating system in your brain, which is the RAS. And that is basically, I'll give you an idea how that works. Have you ever, okay, you have a car, I would assume.
Yes.
All right. And what is your car? Give me an idea. What color is it? And
tan.
Okay, tan, and what make?
Mercury.
Mercury, okay, so when you bought that tan Mercury, did you see other Mercuries of that, right after you bought it, you'd look around, and when you were in a crowded section of town or whatever, you'd see another Mercury. It might have been blue, but it was like your car.
Exactly, yes.
That was your RAS working. Basically, it brought out, basically your RAS is filtering out all the stuff that doesn't matter to you. But when you bought that car, you're all psyched up and you had this in your consciousness, I got this nice tan Mercury and I'm driving around, hey, there's one just like mine. And that's it. And the same thing with these motivational concepts. When you employ this, not employ it, but basically get these thoughts into your subconscious, and repetition. You listen to this over and over. Techniques, these things will take you, your brain will take you right toward the goal. In other words, when an opportunity arises, when you're setting a goal, an opportunity that'll get you close to that goal, you'll automatically do it. And you're not even thinking about it because your subconscious is working.
How do I get to that point? I mean, I could say, I want to be successful and I want this, and I want every TV5 news program to be perfect.
Well, okay, that's very good. Well, I have a 7-step success formula.
Okay.
Which is basically very simple. Number one, know your outcome. Okay, what are you going after? What's your goal going to look like? Picture it. And a lot of people say, I can't picture it until I see it. Well, you've got to picture it how you think you would like to see it. Secondly, expect to get it. Expect to get it. All right, I'm not going to sit here and spout about a positive attitude, but what I found is a positive attitude will get you a lot farther than a negative attitude in life. All right, negative attitude does not support you, positive always does. So once you have that, expect to get it. Number 3, very important, commitment. You got that goal, commit to it. All commitment is making a decision that there's no other option to it. In fact, decision itself is from a Greek word, kadir, and kadir means to cut off. So in other words, when you make that decision, that commitment, you're cutting off any option to it. The 4th key is to get into action, and that is to do whatever is necessary. Take action on it. That is probably the foundational key for all success. All right. Once you've taken action, or as you're taking action, you have to pay attention, which we go to the 5th key. And that is what we're calling sensory acuity. You're seeing what's working and what's not working. Anything worth going after, you're going to have obstacles. Nothing is easy. Right. Nothing worthwhile ever comes easy. Going into show business was not easy for me, but I knew I was paying attention, seeing what was working, what was not working, and then I used the 6th key, which is change your approach. If something's not supporting you, you've got to try something different. And the last key, probably the most important key, if you want to be successful, persistence. Never giving up. That's the key. So.
Well, that makes sense. There's so much to talk about with you, but we're already to the first break. I can't believe that it's already that much. We are going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Tim. Like I said, isn't he great? He's a lot of fun. Stay with us. Feedback continues after the break.
Hi, I'm Carrie LaPoo.
And I'm Mark Despotakis, and we'd like to tell you a little about TV5.
Clarion's very own TV5 Clarion University Broadcasting serves as an educational tool and resource for Clarion University and the surrounding community.
We broadcast everything from Borough Council meetings live to 3 newscasts a week. TV5 is an institution valued by both students and the community as a whole. Students from Clarion University's Communication Department are the most involved in TV5, but students from all majors are welcome to participate. Each and every TV5 production is student-produced, directed, and hosted.
TV5 News provides local news coverage as reported by Clarion University students. Student reporters, anchors, and producers create a newscast 3 nights a week that reflects the news of the day in Clarion. TV5 is also a CNN affiliate, and that affiliation allows us to bring the world closer to you.
My show, Feedback with Mark Despotakis, is TV5's public affairs and interview program. Topics range from discussing local and national politics to flying with a medical helicopter team. Broadcasting 2 nights a week, we strive to inform, educate, and entertain our viewers.
TV5 also broadcasts Clarion Borough Council Live each month. The meeting takes place at the Clarion Free Library, and TV5 students air the program from our mobile production trailer.
Sports are also a large part of the TV5 identity. Local sports such as Clarion University Athletics are an integral part of our newscasts, but they are also featured during our weekly sports program, Sports Night. We also give you the latest news from Pennsylvania state government, broadcasting such shows as Focus on Pennsylvania and Capital Conversations. You get to see what your state representatives are up to in Harrisburg. TV5 has been Clarion's very own for over 20 years and will continue to be an information source for students and members of the community in the new millennium. And we hope you'll join us into this new millennium as we watch history unfold right here on Clarion's very own TV5. I'm sure everybody upstairs just loves this because I'm just on constantly. Tim Piccirillo is here, as we've been talking to, motivational speaker, magician, comedian. And I was perusing your website today, timpic.com, if you want to check that out. there was a quote on there, and it talked about what your programs will do if you go out to schools or organizations. And the quote is that you will do your thing to inspire and motivate each person in your audience to live life more fully and experience the joy that comes with reaching your full potential. Well, that is that's everybody's dream in life. Of course, we all want that to our specific lives. How can you do that in one of your presentations?
You know, it is. I inspire them to just do it, like Nike says. There's no magic formula for this. I wasn't living my life fully for a lot of years into early adulthood. My Tourette's was so bad that I was letting it dictate what I was going to do, where I was going to go, how I was going to feel from one day to the other. And I don't know, I can't say it just happened one day and said, wow, I'm not going to let this define who I am anymore. But my mother had always instilled that everything I am, everything I hope to be, I owe to my parents. Because my mother first of all taught me that Tourette syndrome is something I have, but it's not who I am. And my father taught me, he said, you have a bad day, just take it one day at a time. One day at a time, kid. That's what he told me. One day at a time, kid, one day at a time. And that's what I had to do. And I said, enough of this. I've got this thing. Deal with it. You know, I'm not going to let it dictate my life anymore. I'm not going to let it turn my mood sour on life, turn my whole outlook on life anymore. And I said, I've got to keep it positive. And as I got older, actually when I went into show business, which I was doing what I love, and my anxiety level lessened because I called the shots now. I work for myself. I work when I want to, as much as I want to, or as little as I want to. And the Tourette's actually got better. And I'm still on medication, but I'm on the lowest level of medication since I've been on it, since I was 14, Great. You know, so. But it's just committing to experiencing it all you can. And not letting, you know, life is, the Buddhist tradition, their whole idea is that life is suffering. And their whole goal in the Buddhist tradition is to overcome suffering, to get enlightenment, to reach enlightenment. And basically that's just dealing with things as they come and not letting it bother you, being in a state of total bliss or total happiness. Now, that's unrealistic for me. I'm not going to be totally blissful. I'm not going to be totally happy, but I make the best of every day. I get up and I thank my Creator for letting me do what I love to do. I have Tourette syndrome. It's a very debilitating and debasing disorder that knocks me down a lot of time. But Les Brown, one of our great motivational speakers, says, if you get knocked down, land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
Wow, that is an excellent quote.
Yeah.
You say one day at a time, and that we've certainly heard that. Wasn't there a TV show called that, I think, at one point?
Yeah, right, one day at a time.
You know, one day at a time, and you talk about we just got to overcome, and it sounds so simple, honestly, but you know, some days people, it's just a terrible day, and they think, how can I get up tomorrow? And, you know, is there something that you can say to people that when you wake up in the morning, this is how you need to think for your day? I mean, is there something that you do that say, well, I mean, you said, you know, you get up every morning and just thank God to be alive. But is, you know, because so many times out there are so many people in the world that are just suffering beyond belief, and you know, and sometimes when I complain about something, I think, my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Look at these people out there.
And you used a concept right there that I use in my life all the time. You said it right there, gratitude. On those bad days, when I'm having a really tough time and want to sit on the pity pot a little bit and just wallow in self-pity, I pull gratitude and I start thinking for all the things that I'm lucky for. I'm in business for myself. I call the shots. I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I'm healthy. I don't have AIDS. I don't have cancer. I don't have leukemia. I have it made compared to a lot of people. I am in a free country as opposed to Afghanistan, a war-torn country. And I think about all these things, and then you know what? Tourette syndrome looks pretty insignificant at that point. And my depression looks pretty insignificant compared, and that is one of the things, one of the concepts that I teach, just have gratitude. Because there is always somebody worse off than you. You know, if I told you my story back when I was a teenager, 16 years of age, right as I was getting diagnosed, I was lying on the couch, writhing 20 hours a day, just my body was jerking continually, full body. My muscles were sore, I was exhausted, but the Tourette's did not care. You're going to still jerk. At the same time, I had self-abusive behaviors. I was chewing my cheeks.
Oh.
You know, if you've ever bit your cheek when you ate, my cheeks were swollen up. The only thing I could eat, I couldn't take solid food because I couldn't get it in my mouth. My mother would give me 2 milkshakes a day with a raw egg in it so I'd get some sort of nourishment. And I look back on that, it's like, yeah, I got through it though, because you know what? I'm not going to die from Tourette syndrome. There's people with life-threatening illnesses. There's people in Afghanistan, in a war-torn country that haven't done anything to anybody. I'm not talking about the terrorists. I'm talking about the innocent people that their country has been, they're famine, they're being bombed. I've got it made. I've got it made compared to them. So gratitude is a good thing. Yeah.
You talk about anchoring a lot.
Anchoring.
What, not anchoring like I just did here
Right.
about 20 minutes ago. What does your anchoring mean?
Okay, anchoring. I teach an anchoring concept from the neuro-linguistic programming field. NLP is basically a let me explain neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro meaning the brain, linguistic meaning language, and programming a system. It's a system to communicate with yourself and other people better through patterns, and these patterns are kind of esoteric forms of visualization, just visualization things. Anchoring is let me ask you this, Mark, if you remember, how old are you?
22.
22. Do you remember, and this is before you were born, because they took these, Winston tastes good like a, do you remember that?
No, should, but
all right, that's
I
right.
know.
No, you're too young. That's all right. Let me ask you this one. How do you spell relief?
Rolaids.
Okay, and you remember, how do you spell relief?
R-O-L-E-I-D-S.
Okay, you remember that. That company, the Rolaids people, anchored that into your mind. We're anchored all the time. What does Nike say?
Just do it.
Just do it. They've anchored that through the commercials. We're anchored all the time. Have you ever done something wrong when you were a kid and your mother just, you came home, you knew you did something wrong, your mom's waiting at the front door and she's looking like this. What did you think?
Oh, like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh, that's exactly it. We're anchored all the time.
Do
that. Yes, you do, and I do too, because my mother's look was the tongue in the cheek. And I knew I was in deep trouble. And that's what I talk about with anchoring, is we're anchored all the time, and I teach an anchoring pattern to basically put yourself in a resourceful state literally in an instant. It's a 6-step process to reprogram your brain. The way this works basically, when I go to pick up this brochure, that is programmed in my brain, a neural pathway. In other words, the cells are connecting, say, go pick that up. Well, it's kind of like spinning a record or a CD, and the laser hits the CD, the CD is spinning. If you scratch that CD across the side, that CD is never going to play the same way ever again. Right. And that's the same with reprogramming your brain, changing that neural pathway in a way to support you. And I'll tell you what, after the show, I'll teach you that technique. It's a great one.
It certainly sounds like it. We're almost out of time, but I want to tell people how you too can have Tim come to, it's fun to have him come down every couple of months to my TV station, but he too can have, you too, take two. You too can have him come to your school, to your banquet, your organization.
Right.
Tell people how they can do this.
Well, you can call me toll-free. My toll-free number is 877-772-7833. I live in Ridgeway, Pennsylvania, or I'm not going to give you my fax number. You can email me at timpic, same as my website, TIMPIC @penn.com. And they can reach me either by my toll-free number or at timpic@penn.com. I do assemblies for everybody, elementary, middle, high school. I have information on all that. I do teacher in-service programs, and my markets are the education market as well as the human service market. I do a lot for the aging field as well as mental health and mental retardation. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a link to your website on our website.
Great.
So if anyone, check our website. You'll see it on the copyright at the end of the program. I will do that tonight or tomorrow morning, definitely.
Fantastic.
Tim, really phenomenal, and hearing your story, really, I think, is very important in this whole process. Tim Piccirillo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Always a good time. Stay with us. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back to say goodbye right after this.
Hi, I'm Carrie LaPoo.
And I'm Mark Despotakis, and we'd like to tell you a little about TV5.
Clarion's very own TV5 Clarion University Broadcasting serves as an educational tool and resource for Clarion University and the surrounding community.
We broadcast everything from Borough Council meetings live to 3 newscasts a week. TV5 is an institution valued by both students and the community as a whole. Students from Clarion University's Communication Department are the most involved in TV5, but students from all majors are welcome to participate. Each and every TV5 production is student-produced, directed, and hosted.
TV5 News provides local news coverage as reported by Clarion University students. Student reporters, anchors, and producers create a newscast 3 nights a week that reflects the news of the day in Clarion. TV5 is also a CNN affiliate, and that affiliation allows us to bring the world closer to you.
My show, Feedback with Mark Despotakis, is TV5's public affairs and interview program. Topics range from discussing local and national politics to flying with a medical helicopter team. Broadcasting 2 nights a week, we strive to inform, educate, and entertain our viewers.
TV5 also broadcasts Clarion Borough Council live each month. The meeting takes place at the Clarion Free Library, and TV5 students air the program from our mobile production trailer.
Sports are also a large part of the TV5 identity. Local sports such as Clarion University Athletics are an integral part of our newscasts, but they are also featured during our weekly sports program, Sports Night.
We also give you the latest news from Pennsylvania state government, broadcasting such shows as Focus on Pennsylvania and Capital Conversations. You get to see what your state representatives are up to in Harrisburg. TV5 has been Clarion's very own for over 20 years and will continue to be an information source for students and members of the community in the new millennium.
And we hope you'll join us into this new millennium as we watch history unfold right here on Clarion's very own TV5. I'm back. Thanks to Tim Piccirillo for joining us. Let me give you that phone number once again. There it is on the screen, 1-877-772-7833. And, you know, I was just telling Tim during the break that I could have really used him last week, because if you ask anyone on the crew, I was in a pretty foul mood last week. And you know what, just talking to him, it puts you in a positive mood, because his story puts you in a positive mood. Everything he says, I would recommend him to absolutely anyone. So, Tim, once again, thank you seriously for joining us.
Thank you for having me,
Always
Mark.
a great time.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being, and I wish you luck. That they're going to miss you when you leave this show in May. My goodness, there's going to be a void to be filled.
Well, you know, we'll see what they can do.
Yes.
Speaking of voids, Thursday, since I'm in such a good mood, I'm going to take Thursday night off from feedback. Actually, this was planned ahead of time. Thursday night's program is a repeat. It is a show that was on, I think, last Thursday night, Talking Politics with Kevin Yenneroll and Barry Sweet. A lot of insight. It was a fun show. So that is what is on for you, 7:30 here on TV5 Thursday night. Programming starts tomorrow night at 6, and at 7, Jackie Neelan and Pat Grace are in with the news. Sports Night at 7:30. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night. It's always a